You have Dario Franchitti, James Hinchcliffe, and then you had Adam Andretti in another race. Adam Andretti unfortunately got involved in a wreck, but he was running really well. Adam Andretti has actually surprised me quite a bit. He's raced Trans Ams and not off-road cars, but road racing cars, I should say, for years. But I wouldn't say he has like all the starts in the world, but he has a decent amount of starts. He hasn't raced in a while. He impressed me with his speed in Atlanta. He obviously struggled with the handling, and he impressed me with his speed once again here at St. Pete. But like I said, had a demolished car, got involved with in an incident with Christian Eckes, if I remember correctly, and it was a really tough day for Andretti. But I would like to see more of Adam Andretti. Actually, I would really like to see some more out of him in NASCAR. Maybe NASCAR was what Adam Andretti was supposed to do, because he seems like he's kind of a natural, in my opinion. I don't know if anybody shares the same opinion. Let me know your thoughts in the comments on Adam Andretti in the Truck Series. But let's move on to Dario and Hinchcliffe, because those are the two I really want to talk about. Jimmy Hinch and Dario Franchitti, they actually had a run-in at one point in the race. Dario apologized to James Hinchcliffe. Apparently, he owes Jimmy Hinch some dinner. Sounds like he's going to buy him dinner as an apology for taking him out, which it is what it is. They're both trying to figure it out. Dario Franchitti, I can't tell you, and I'll get to Hinch in a second, but Dario Franchitti, I cannot tell you how impressed I was on Dario's performance. He was running in the back half of the top 10 90% of this race, looked extremely competitive. And this is a guy who hasn't raced in a professional race in over 10 years. He had a road series race, I want to say maybe a couple months ago, a year ago, something like that. A GT3 race, and other than that, he's ran maybe two or three like non-professional sort of races, just like charity sort of racing, if you get what I'm saying. But for someone who hasn't raced in a professional race since I think 2013, it's been over 10 years since he's raced in a professional race. Let alone, I don't think he's ever raced a race in the Truck Series. He raced a couple of races in the Busch Series at the time. Obviously, he had his opportunity in the Cup Series, even raced the COT for Ganassi, and really struggled. He really struggled mightily when he came over to NASCAR the first time. So I'm going to be honest, I didn't have the highest expectations for him coming into this event. I knew he was driving a Tricon Garage truck. I knew Jimmy was going to help him out a lot, and the big advantage that he was going to get was the fact that he actually has experience at St. Pete, unlike a lot of other drivers that were in the field. But he just looked impressive. He put down some pretty decent laps in practice, the very few laps that he got, and he was phenomenal all race long. And he even said it in one of his interviews. He just kept on hitting the wall, and he ended up having to come down pit road and get repairs. He was struggling at the very end of this race because of his damaged race car. And also, if some of you saw, he was dealing with some shoulder pain. It looked like his shoulders were just getting extremely tired. He was pressing an ice pack, it looked like, up against it at one point. You could see him like squinting his eyes in pain. He clearly was in pain and just not used to that sort of driving and that sort of racing over that amount of time. But I'm just so impressed with Dario. I really would love to see more of Dario Franchitti in the Craftsman Truck Series. So impressive. Honestly, if he gets a couple of more starts in him, I truly think he could win a road course race in the Craftsman Truck Series. I don't know about an oval per se. I would have to see him race an oval to really make my judgment on that. But a road course, for sure. And there's more road course races in the Craftsman Truck Series this season. I would love to see Dario Franchitti out there again this season. Just extremely impressive. He shows why he's a legend of the sport of motorsports in general. One of the greatest IndyCar series drivers of all time. And he just really showed his pure talent out there. But yeah, by the end of the race, his car was about done. His body was giving up on him. And he still pushed through and finished the end of the race. Just unfortunately didn't get the finish that he quite wanted or probably deserved. But it looked like he had a great time. a great day overall for Dario Franchitti. He seemed very happy right after the race. He was so tired. He went to go sat against the pit box, and that's where he ended up getting his post race interview. Just phenomenal job by Dario Franchitti. Great job. But let me know your thoughts in the comments about Dario Franchitti's performance. And let's get to now James Hinchcliffe, because I would say he impressed me about as much as Dario Franchitti. Maybe even a little bit more. The reason I say that, well, because first of all, Jimmy Hinch was pretty much on Dario's ass all race. They were within a couple of positions of each other pretty much all race. Dario, I'd say, was in front of Jimmy Hinch more often than not throughout the event. And obviously, they had their contact, and I think turn one, right when you get off of the airstrip. And I'm so impressed. But the reason why I'd say I am so impressed, Dario actually has a little bit of experience in NASCARs and stock cars. James Hinchcliffe hasn't raced in NASCAR ever. This was his first start in NASCAR. And no offense to James Hinchcliffe. James Hinchcliffe is a very good driver in his own right, but I wouldn't consider him like one of the legends of the sport, one of the GOATs of the IndyCar series. I wouldn't put him on that upper echelon. He was a very good driver, definitely wasn't a bad driver, but I didn't have look at my expectations for Dario Franchitti. My expectations for James Hinchcliffe were even lower than Dario Franchitti. And for Hinch to go out there and run top 10 all race, came back from wrecking twice, I think. He ended up spinning out twice. Ended up driving back up to the front to get a top 10 finish in his NASCAR debut. That is amazing. That is fantastic. What a freaking performance from Jimmy Hinch. And I would love to see more of Jimmy Hinch, aka James Hinchcliffe, Hinchtown, the mayor. I would love to see more of him as well. I didn't go into this event expecting to say that after the event. I was just like, I'm glad these guys, going into the event, I'm glad that these guys are showing up. It's really good for the sport to get drivers like James Hinchcliffe, Dario Franchitti, and Adam Andretti. It's always great to have an Andretti in the field. Mario Andretti was at the race, by the way, as well, which is freaking awesome. I'm really happy that Mario Andretti was there as well, which is just badass to have him there. All that, I was like, this is really great for the sport of NASCAR. This is awesome for the sport, and this is really fun. This is really fun. But it ended up being more than that. They ended up being very competitive, and I would love to see more of them. I would just love to see more of those three drivers, because I think they all have potential to get a win in the Truck Series. I don't know about the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. I don't know about the NASCAR Cup Series, but I can truly see Adam Andretti, James Hinchcliffe, and Dario Franchitti, as long as they get some more laps in, get some more practice. And Dario, obviously, I think needs to prepare. And Dario's over 50 years old, but might need to prepare his body a little bit more. And if they do those things, I could see any one of them potentially winning a Truck Series race on a road course, which would be fantastic. It would be fantastic not just for them, but for the sport of NASCAR and for just overall motorsports, because I would love to see drivers cross over into other worlds. I think a lot of drivers end up crossing over into NASCAR. I would love to see more NASCAR drivers cross over into other series. I just want to see more of that. I would love to see more of that. Like, I would like to see a lot more of the supercars drivers come over to America and maybe take their hand at IndyCar or take their hand at NASCAR. Same thing with IndyCar drivers. I just want everybody to be more well-rounded. I feel like a lot of drivers are very scared to step into a car that they have no knowledge of. And the balls it took from James Hinchcliffe, Adam Andretti, and Dario Franchitti, Adam Andretti the last two races, but the balls it took for those drivers, those men to come over to our sport, a sport where they either have very little experience or no experience at all, and do as well as they did. That is freaking awesome. That is awesome. It makes me so happy to see, and I want to see more of those three drivers. So let me know your thoughts in the comments on Jimmy Hinch. Let me know your thoughts in the comments on Dario Franchitti. And then, of course, let me know your thoughts in the comments on Adam Andretti. And also, let me know if you want to see some more crossovers with other motorsports. What is your dream driver to come over to NASCAR and attempt to race? For me, anybody that knows me, the driver I would kill to see at least attempt or make a race in NASCAR is Daniel Ricciardo, one of my all-time favorite motorsports drivers. I would love, 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 and he has a big passion for NASCAR. I would love to see him come over here and take a crack at it. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Another driver that I also want to give a shout out that I did forget to give a shout out to in my original recording of Car on the Hauler is Colin Braun. I mentioned him briefly in the top 10 results. Racing for Ram. Of course, he raced for Roush in the Truck Series years ago. He's been away from NASCAR for a long time, and he's just been pretty much a pure road course racer ever since leaving stock cars. And he really impressed me. I don't think he was as flashy as Dario or James Hinchcliffe, because Dario and Jimmy Hinch are running top 10, top 5 all race long. But I think Colin Braun really showed off his racing IQ, just moving really methodically throughout the field all race long and just staying out of trouble, coming home with the top 10 for Ram, keeping the top 10 Ram streak going to start the year. Ram overall is started off the year a little bit better than I expected, and I was very impressed by Colin Braun being away from NASCAR as long as he has been and to perform on that track. I know drivers like him, Dario, and Jimmy Hinch, if you look at it from a certain angle, I guess they have an advantage. If you look at it from a certain angle, I don't look at it from that angle, but the fact that they have experience at this racetrack and more experience as road racers, if you look at it from a certain angle, maybe they have an advantage. But I think the car is the biggest factor in everything. So the Truck Series field should have had more of an advantage. But for Colin Braun to do that well in the number 25 for Colleague was pretty amazing. And from what I heard, I think Chris Rice mentioned it on Sirius XM last week, that the only reason that Colin Braun ended up getting into the car is because AJ Allmendinger. AJ Allmendinger was the one that really made that happen. So that was really good on AJ to do. I'm glad that Colin Braun came back for at least one race. I would like to see more of him as well. All four of these drivers, I would really like to see more of them in the Truck Series or in the O'Reilly Series, and that being Dario Franchitti, James Hinchcliffe, Adam Andretti, and then Colin Braun. But let me know your thoughts in the comments about these drivers. Which ones do you want to see back the quickest? Is one of them you maybe not want to see back? Let me know in the comments.